Hello, I'm Connie Shaw, Chairman of Carver's Historical Commission. It's our job to preserve and to do research on things that are pertinent to the history of the town. Just recently, we have a new Carver room, a Carver history room, on the second floor of the library, and everyone's welcome to come and take a peek into Carver's past. We're very fortunate, and we have now a secure place for people to come look at things and at the designated hours, or you can call by an appointment. Most recently, one of our projects has been to interview some citizens of town whose ancestors were early settlers and who have been prominent citizens of the town. And today, it gives me pleasure to have Erwin Washburn here to have him tell us something about his experiences as a school committee member and a school building committee member. He's given many years of dedication to the betterment of the school system in the town of Carver. And Erwin, to begin with, I'd like to go a little bit of your early years in South Carver. We grew up together in South Carver Village, and I know way back in the early times you were a very industrious young man and a hard worker. Could you tell us a little bit about your family, who your parents were, and
Yeah, we, as far as the Washburns go, we were here before the town was here. The town was, of course, established in 1790, and the Washburns were here before then. As far as myself goes, I have lived in South Carver all my life so far, on Lakeview Street. My father, of course, served 49 years to the town of Carver. And going back on the Griffith side, Andrew Griffith was a selectman for many years. I came onto the board in '52, and I served for 42 years. I was a graduate from Bristol County Aggie. We purchased, my wife and I were married in '45, been married that many years, 56 almost. And we purchased what is known as the Stanley greenhouses at the time. And at the time, I was only 18, I had to have a trustee, because at that time you could not, until you was 21, you couldn't do anything without, because you couldn't even vote at the time. So everything had to be done through my trustee, which my father served as trustee. And we began the greenhouse business there, and we had wholesale retail. And later on, my wife Muriel opened a shop in Wareham, and I went to just wholesale in South Carver. And then later on, mostly just serving as groundskeeper, to take care of the grounds at Edaville Railroad, until I decided to retire altogether from that, and then I took over my father's cranberry business. That takes care of that. Pretty much my background.
Now you say that you some of the ancestors were involved in town politics, besides your in state politics, weren't they?
Well, I go back to the Washburns do. There's a very famous family of Washburns that was from Maine. There were 7 brothers. 4 of them at one time served in 4 different states in the Congress of the United States. One of them was a confidant of Abraham Lincoln and Grant, and that anything that Grant wanted, why he went through Eli O. Washburn. That's then my direct line divided there. They're not a direct line, but they're a Washburn. The Washburns came over in 1634 and we all go back to 1634.
Now, you became a member of the school committee in 1952.
Just about then. That was sort of a story unto itself. I don't know, as you remember at the time, that's when we voted, just prior to that, we voted the Governor John Carver School. And, you know, how did I, at 23 or whatever it was, beat an incumbent? It was tradition that you have one from each end of town. It would have meant if I was elected, there would have been two from South Carver, and I really didn't know. I was asked to run. The situation was this. When they voted the Governor John Carver School, it was the old town hall. The vote was taken. It was taken by secret ballot. They missed the 2/3 vote by only less than a handful of votes. So they all up and up, but very cleverly asked for a reconsideration. They asked for reconsideration, and then they asked for a standing vote. And of course, with no, after the Australian ballot was taken, many people, maybe half of them went home. So that meant on the second vote around, there was no question, but they made it.
This happens even today, I'm
Yeah,
afraid.
well, there's a lot of things that happen today. Yeah, I can tell you. So then the building it went forward. There was always that little background of hard feeling. Even some that were pro didn't quite like the way it was done. But the building was built, and everybody was happy. But it was sold on the fact that this is something for the town of Carver. The first gym we had, you know, and playground and everything. The school committee at the time, which was the same committee that was successful, put rates of charging on that was just out of this world. I believe it was $50 for a night for the gym. All kinds of different charges, and of course people were just outrageous, just couldn't stand it. So that's why they decided to find somebody to run against the incumbent. I can remember the vote. It was 289 to 150. But that's how I happened to get elected. I know that I went around with a person. I think we hit every house with our papers and so forth. And as I look back, probably 95% of the people that are around then are deceased. It's, I served, 42 years. So, but that's how I happened to get elected. And then once I said from day one, I think when I landed on the school committee, from day one, it was a problem of space. What are we going to do and so forth. The town was beginning to grow. I think there was only 250, something like that, 1 through 8. And maybe 50 in the high schools around. But at the time, we had the superintendent of the schools, which is George Austin, and I had very high regards for him. Over the years, more so. But at that time, I could never figure out. He wanted to bring the 9th grade back to town, which meant about a dozen or 15 kids.
Now, where were they?
They were in Plymouth. They were in Plymouth. And it upset people because they felt that they could never get the advantages. Latin, for instance, how are you going to get maybe 2, 3 kids taking Latin or something like that? So, first meeting, it was on the agenda, and I said, I'm sorry, but I don't know enough about this. I can't, I'm going to have to vote no if you take a vote because I don't know. Mr. Carter said, you come on this board pretty goddamn cocky, and so on and so forth. And I thought Mr. Cole, Frank Cole, would have a hemorrhage. He was very nice, very fair person. You know, if everybody know Larry Cole was of today, his father was even more so.
Yes.
And, well, oh, no. He said, you know, just calm down now. So anyway, we didn't take the vote. And after that, there was a petition circulated, which I still have, from the townspeople all over the town, requesting they do not bring the 9th grade back to town. I submitted that at the next meeting, and it did not happen. And about a month or so after, Mr. Carter submitted his resignation. So that left with Carver with only one school committee person. But I could never figure out, at the time we thought, well, we're trying to crowd the school so that we can get a building. I don't know, we couldn't figure out just why he did it, but he served the town well, and I can go into things later on where he did help us out considerably.
Mm-hmm. Now, the Benjamin Ellis School at that time was closed.
Yes,
when
they
the
thought
governor...
we'd never use it, never have to, so we turned it over to the Legion for $1, I believe, and they tried to maintain it and found that they couldn't. In the meantime, the town did begin to grow, and we decided we better take it back, and we put it before the town to vote to take it back. And there was one person in town, I won't mention his name, he's deceased, but nevertheless, I never saw him at a town meeting before that or afterwards, but he came specially to vote not to take it back. And I could never figure that out because he was pro-Carver. I thought that he'd, anyway. But anyway, we did take it back, and it's been used since then, and I anticipate it will be used for something in the school department for a long time to come. I was in the second class that went there, not the first, but the second one after it opened.
You and I were about the
same thing, and I remember that tickled silly that it was supposed to be just for the first and second grade. This is what happened all through the years. It was supposed to be just for the first and second grade. Town grew, so what happened? The first and second grade took one room, and then they brought the third and fourth grade back. And that made us very happy because it had indoor plumbing, and the grammar school did not.
I can remember going to Santa Carver, and the
very
outdoor plumbing in the winter was not
very
fun.
Cool. No. And I think the only time that I had a problem with Henry Shaw, which I thought was a very good teacher and later served as principal, was the fact that one time nature called and I had to go out there, and at the same time there was some of the older boys there, and they had a fight out there, and I happened to be there, and I had to serve, I don't know, oh, I know what it was. I was deprived of seeing the film that was showed at the town hall, and I thought that was unfair. I told my father so. This is unfair. He said, well, that'll make up for some of the times you did something that you didn't get caught. So I didn't get much of a sympathy, but I suppose he was right even. I don't know. But another thing, in some other notes that you had passed me, one of the first things that I wanted to pursue was vocational education. And I contacted New Bedford Voc and found that there was seats over there. And because people didn't want the kids driving 30 miles to school. So I convinced the school committee at the time to provide transportation. They would pay tuition at the time, but they wouldn't provide transportation. Well, once we did, we had 15 or so that went over there. That was the forerunner of Old Colony, of course.
Yes. Now that was was that New Bedford? Or?
New Bedford Voc.
New Bedford Voc.
A lot of them are offhand. I can. Yeah.
We'd like to take a 2-minute break, and we'll be back with Mr. Washburn.
Hey! Hey! Excuse me!
Your local library has all the information you need, and some you don't.
back again with Erwin Washburn discussing the school situation and the school system in the town of Carver. And we're just discussing the vocational schools. The first group of pupils went to New Bedford Vocational School. And then from then, where did we go as far as the vocational?
Well, you could go, of course, Bristol County Aggie, you could go there and we paid tuition. They had a dorm there and so forth. We had several people that went there. But along, I can't remember dates. I remember my birthday was last Wednesday. It's about the best I can do, and I think my wedding anniversary is in December.
You better remember that. Your wife is standing right here.
Yeah, well, she's very understanding because she can't remember anything either. I got a call from George Austin. This is where I'm saying that George Austin played a big role in that. And he knew my experience and desire for a vocational. And Lakeville and Freetown and Acushnet and Mattapoisett and Rochester were considering a regional vocational school. And he was wondering if we'd be interested. Of course, yeah. So we had a committee appointed, and Don Fernandez, bless his soul, and Haju and myself was the investigating committee. And it meant that's an experience and probably an afternoon, the committee and so forth. We fired the architect, we fired the clerk of the works, and all kinds of things went wrong, but it turned out real well. That's about it, and I forget how many years. In the teens, you're on the committee right from day one. The building committee is the committee. It serves as the building committee. Around 15 years, I think I served there. And I got too much, so I resigned from Old Colony. But I think if you know some of the kids that have graduated from there, you can see it's a fine school, I believe.
Well, you've been on, then you were on the building committee for the Plymouth Carver High School,
I
were
will,
you?
if you want, list my committees because I have to
Yes.
write them down because I forget some.
I know you've been
I don't consider myself exactly a member of the Governor John Committee, but I was, and they asked me to vote and everything, so they said I was on it. So, but anyway, it was just the tail end of it. The Governor John, I was on the first building committee for the first edition in the front building, and the back building, and the Governor John back building addition, and then PC High, PCIS, Old Colony, and these are the best ones, Carver High, and the addition for Carver High. That's schools, and then I was served not as a committee member, but the project manager for the selectmen on the municipal well building that's behind the library. That serves the municipal buildings there.
Mm-hmm.
Town hall, and then the last one is the DPW barn. And then, of course, that little town green. And I have served trustee for the Atwood House for quite a while. And I'm right present of the only trustee for the E. Tilton Pratt Fund. That's my total committee. I didn't get on too many committees other than the school because that's all the time I could spare. That was it.
Well, Erwin, you've certainly put in a good many hours and hours and hours.
There were a few things that kind of, it's funny, whatever. I can remember the vote on the Plymouth Carver High. I went very hard to get into that, and I went very hard to get out of it. That's one place I miscalculated. I believe that we should have gone there and so forth, but I thought at the time that it would be in a very easy situation should we grow where it was Plymouth is a large town, we could just say to Plymouth, you're growing, we're growing, we'll just get out. We're going to that didn't work out that way. They wanted what money we brought in, not from us particularly, but from the state. And of course, they put up they would not vote to let us out, and we had to go to the state legislature. It took us 3 times to get it through, and I can say that Charlie Deacus was very instrumental, especially the last year. I pitied the poor guy. I was contacting him almost every day and asked him what he was doing, how was it coming, and he finally got the vote from him. We almost did it the second year. We had the educational committee was going to come out in the state there to approve it, and some people in Plymouth happened to be in Boston, and the Board of Education happened to say that they were going to do it, and they contacted Peter Foreman, killed it the second year, but the third year we made it. And another one I never was very happy about doing, and another thing it had to be done, it was PCIS. I wish we could have waited. I don't think people understand what the state was doing. They had a, mandate, or whatever you want to call it, that there's going to be regions all over the state. And they made a mistake of drawing regions. They had us with Plymouth, no, they didn't have us with Plymouth. They had us with Middleborough, Lakeville, and one other town. No, Middleborough, Lakeville, and Carver. Middleborough didn't want anything of it. They didn't consideration local politics at all. They tried to use arm twisting, and if you come up, even the first edition to the Governor John, they wanted us to first vote to go total regionalization or region somewhere before they'd approve it. And I got excited and asked them to point to chapter and verse as to where they got the power to do so. And they muttered and sputtered, and I said, even if we did, we still would need that room in Carver, and we got the first edition. But they had a very dislike for me. It was mutual. I think, but as it turned out, I think it was a long battle to get into out of it and get into PC, into Carver High, but a little bit of thinking and maneuvering. It was a case of maneuvering. We had a veto power. It was a case of maneuvering in to get it in town. It was still a region, but it was just the point where it was just a matter of cutting the cord. Whereas if you notice Silver Lake, they're going to break up, but it's much harder to do.
Yes. Well, we're so fortunate to have our own high school now, and I don't think people I'm glad they have an opportunity. We'll have an opportunity to hear the background of some of these buildings because for a long time, at one time Carver had its own high school, and then we went to Wareham. Did we go to Wareham? I think we went to Wareham for a while, didn't we? Or no?
I can't give you the dates, but the breaking up of Carver High School way back, there's only 2 or 3 kids graduating a year. The question of whether it would continue or not, depending on a vote as to whether they would put an addition on it. And that was turned down, so they had to break up and go on tuition. Well, when they went on tuition, they were scattered all over. Some went to Wareham. Mm-hmm. Now, I know of 3 people still living that attended. I don't think they graduated because I think it broke up. And that was, I can name them, Homer Weston, Jimmy Gonsalves, and Harold Ballard's wife, I believe. I don't know her name.
Eleanor?
Yeah, no.
No?
Present wife.
Oh.
She's a Finnish name.
Mm-hmm. Alma, I think.
Yeah. And my aunt, Gladys Burgess, who just passed away, 3 years ago or something like that, she graduated from it. But that was the last, and they did go all over. Just before we entered into here, we had kids in 4 different high schools. At the same time, there was Apponequet. You missed Apponequet.
It was very confusing, and it was difficult, I think, for the students then. Some of them went, a couple different places to high school before they graduated.
Generally, the host town would let you finish there.
Oh,
But it got to the point where they didn't have the room.
right,
So they had to,
right.
my daughter Linda went to Apponequet for her first freshman year. And when PC opened up, she went to PC. But it was hard to administer it too.
Of course it was. Well, Erwin, the town really owes you a great deal of gratitude for all the time and the effort that you have put in over the years to make our school system as great as it is today.
Well, I appreciate it, and I feel the town has been good to me and overall, so I'm happy too.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We welcome any artifacts, pictures, documents, photographs for the Carver room. We need a lot more to display, and we're very anxious to make sure that things of historic significance are preserved. And so we welcome people to donate anything that they would like to. Thank you very much for being with us, and goodbye.